everybody. October, October, November 3rd. Um, Looking at Thursday, 2022. Big day yesterday. We had our FOMC. We got the expected 75 point basis rate hike. That was expected. The FOMC statement left room for maybe the Fed taking the foot off the gas pedal a little bit. But then in the press conference, Powell just came in with some hawkish statements. Talked about a soft landings getting narrower, talked about rate hikes may even be higher than what they initially thought. Inflation's still very sticky. Like, it was just not good. He didn't leave any opening at all, hence the market fell, right? Um, let's look at what's going on in the markets right now. All right, so triple headed monster here. 10-year yield is up 2.93% to 4.17. All right. The VIX is up 2.2%, 0.17 to 26.42. The dollar is up 1.42% to 112.92. Okay, that's all not good. That's bearish. Okay. Look at the Dow. The Dow's down 0.58. Okay. ES down 0.78. Russell down 0.86. Bitcoin down 0.91. The Nasdaq's down a percent, 1.04%. All right. And crude is down 1.22%, down $1.10 a barrel. Okay. So obviously we're gapping lower. Okay. Little on the news front. China took back their stance of the reopening and stated they're still talking about a zero tolerance policy for COVID. Okay, that's going to take China stocks down. The Hang Seng went down today, along with the Fed. Um, so that is not good. That's why oil went back down. Okay, and also the dollar being up is not good for commodities because all commodities are based in the dollar. All right, so that's what happened there. Now let's look at some stocks. Okay, um, some leaders here, which is not a lot. Amazon's up 0.3%. Upward 30%. Okay. Um, that's about it for the leader. Let's talk about the laggards. BABA, like the Chinese news I talked about, AMD, Apple, and Nvidia. Okay. Qualcomm had bad guidance with cell phones losing demand, so hence Nvidia and AMD. Um, Now, leaders as far as top sectors are really Chevron, but that's not even called a leader. All right, let's go down to the bottom here. We got Disney, Roblox down 1.68%, but then the big one is Qualcomm down 8.28%. That's a pretty big fall, right? Let's go to the sectors. No really leaders to talk about. Laggards, no surprise here. XLK, which is Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and AMD. Basic materials, and then semis. Okay. All right. Let's get into what happened yesterday in the SPY. Let's talk about what happened here. All right, let's get my marker tool. Okay, so obviously that came out. Now the initial reaction was higher because of that FOMC statement. But look where we came up to. We came up to a key resistance area here in the 100-day moving average, and we found selling. Okay, and then broke this downtrend line. Okay, and we just continued to fall towards the close. Okay, Now, key level coming up is this 370 level. Also have the 20 simple moving average on the daily chart. Okay, we actually did tag this in pre-market. Okay, we did tag this because we're gapping lower. We did tag this and we found some buying off of it. Not sure if that can hold. We'll have to see. Okay, let's go over to the Qs, which is going to be the weakest. All right, so in the Qs, we basically broke this downtrend line and we came up to it and hit the back of the trend line, found sellers, and we just ripped. Right, came up to this 266, called 267 resistance line. I'm sorry, it was support line. That was right here, and we broke it. Okay, that's 266, 267. We're at 263 right now. Okay, this is our next support level, 261. That's the next support level in the triple Qs. Right, now let's go back to the SPY. And I like to look at the profile, the volume profile. And where can we go in the SPY really quickly? Okay, so each one of these lines are the most traded price of this week, and this over here is a profile of the last month. Okay, so right here you can see 366.25 is the most traded price of the month. This is the most traded price of this week. Okay, of this week, and that week would have been starting of October 16th. That the week of October 16th, this is the most traded price of the week, which is also the most traded price of the month. Okay, this is the most likely destination we're going to go. So 366, mark that down for the SPY. If we keep falling, we're going to hit here, and then we'll have to make a decision here if we can come down here and go under it, hold under it, and then we go lower, or we come under it, pop above it, and rip higher. Right, that's going to be kind of a bull bear line for the SPY. Okay, Qs. Now the Qs have a very different story here. You can see it. Okay, so what I would say here is the most traded price of this week for the Qs. That price is 263. Well, guess what? That's where we are right now. You can see right now this candle is right there. That's a big test already. Right? You can see the volume here, the volume profile here. That's poked out because of this week. Okay. If we fall below that and hold below it, oof, we might go down, test the lows, 254 again. So keep this level in mind right now where we're at, 263. It's a little bit of a line in the sand for today. And we have a lot of news still coming out today and tomorrow. Now, news just came out. So I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of that. You guys see the levels I'm talking about. Okay. Most traded price of the month, 269. We get above that, maybe we can go higher. But right now, it's all about this 263 level. Okay. Now, let's go back to see what this news. Did this news do anything? Because we just got some employment jobless claims. Okay, so let's see here. Jobless claims. The forecast. Okay, so we went under, not by a lot. The forecast is for 220. We came under. So people filing for unemployment came under, which you don't want that right now in our market. That's kind of bearish. Okay, you want to see more people filing for jobless claims. Previously it was 218. This is 217. So you need this number to be bigger. Okay. Now we have a couple of other You have a lot of news coming at 9:45. We have services PMI, but the one to look at is 10 o'clock. The ISM 9 manufacturing PMI could move the market. Just be wary if you guys are in day trades that there's a lot of news coming out 9:45 and 10. Okay, so this is already, you wanted to see this number be bigger, and it wasn't. So that's already not good. Okay, so let's go back. Now we're going to look at the market profile. Actually, no, we're not. Sorry. Let's look at the triple headed monster I like to talk about, and that's the 10-year yield. First, poof, man, this is crazy. This is gapping up. Okay, that means people are selling bonds. Okay, that is a big gap up, and we closed here at 4.0. We're already at 4.18. We're here now. Okay, so we broke this downtrend and keeping this uptrend. If we start to move up again, this is a leading indicator. Okay, smart money's here, so equities could definitely take a big fall if we go right back up to this high. I mean, we got bearish news yesterday, so, and the jobs didn't just help out just now. We have non-farm payrolls tomorrow and unemployment tomorrow. So, the labor market's been strong, so we need to see that week. Now, I don't know because the news was so hawkish yesterday that if non-farm payrolls don't add jobs, they under the forecast, and then unemployment rate goes up. I don't know if that's enough to pull the market higher. I'm not sure. I don't know. Okay, but this is an indication today that we're probably going lower. But this TNX is so illiquid, so you don't know. But that's off the bat not good. This is not surprising. So I'm not saying that this is any breaking news. The dollar is on an uptrend, and we're starting to break this downtrend. So the dollar's up. Not good. Okay. And then VIX. The VIX broke this support level. It wicked below it, and then we just came right up. And now see if we can take out these 2-day highs. VIX is at 26.52. So all that is pointing to lower. All right. Next big news is non-farm payrolls and unemployment, and then we get CPI again. Okay, we get the CPI again. And CPI, I don't know, that inflation number, either we're going to make a new low with that if we're hot, or possibly get start the Santa Claus rally if we finally start to get some headway with inflation. All right. Quick thing on the inflation front, really quickly. Just want to show you something. This is a chart I like to look at. It's called the 10-year break-even. The 5-year break-even inflation rate, and that's where the Fed sees inflation in 5 years. If you notice, we're in a downtrend. However, this is starting to get into an uptrend now. So, which is not good for probably the CPI number. This bottomed here, and now we're starting to make lower highs, and we're going back up. So that's not good. Okay? We'll have to see how that turns out with CPI. That is not good. So, I'll move over to the futures. All right, let's go over to those futures. Okay, let's talk about what happened yesterday. Okay, so prices here, 37.32. We're now under the 20-day moving average. Okay, give you a quick peek of ES futures daily chart. My bad, that's not the daily chart. Okay, there's the 20. We're now below it. Before we kind of held up above it. I think this jobless claims number is pushing it down. Okay, so now we're breaking the 20 in the ES. And the NASDAQ, we're just weak. Okay, I mean, we're below every moving average. Okay, so just wanted to show you guys that. Okay, so price is at the lows. All right, that was pretty bearish for the market. This news. So what do we have here? So we came up yesterday with price. Okay, and we basically came all the way up to the 5-day, the most traded price of the week, and found selling. And this high volume though that I kept talking about. So this area is pretty important yesterday when we found selling. Okay. And then obviously you know he just kept was Fed was being more hawkish and more hawkish, and then the market just proceeded to fall. Okay. So in the ES, we went right through this high volume node, broke a couple demand zones. Okay. And now we broke this demand zone right here, and the 20-day moving average right here. Okay, so this is pretty bad. ES is down almost 1% now. Okay, so when you get a big move like this, okay, we made single prints. That's emotional selling or buying. Obviously, emotional selling. We made single prints, which is not two-way trade. Okay, so we made a big spike. I'm gonna call this a spike here. This is like a big spike. This spike. Okay, so how I read this with this market profile is this. Okay, this is very simple. If the market right now was within this spike, okay, that's bearish. If the market was up above the spike, that's bullish. We're below the spike, and that's very bearish. So that's how I'm reading that off the bat. Okay, because this is the emotional selling. What's the market telling us, right? It's accepting lower prices and we're moving lower. That's bearish. Okay, I mean, again, this isn't rocket science, but this is just how I'm going to read. This is how I'm going to look at the market. Okay, now the job of the market is, if you can see the volume profile on this side here, the composite for the week, we're thinning out, right? We have a bunch of value up here and volume up here, and now we're thinning out. Okay, the market's job now, if it's going to be bearish, if it keeps going, we're gonna have to pause and we're gonna have to rest, and we should build out volume here or lower to bring the most traded price of the week lower, which would be ultimately bearish. If we can't do that, then we're most likely going to go back up. I don't see us just ripping back up, but I don't know. This market's nuts. Okay. So this is a very bearish gap down. Okay, because you can see the high from yesterday and the low. We closed at the lows. Okay. This is the overnight high, overnight low, and prices at the lows. This large gap down right now is not easy to read. Not easy to read at all. Okay, so I'll get into what I'm going to look at as far as trade wise in a little bit. I did put it on some options trades yesterday with this move, which worked out pretty decently. I still have some open today. So this is what I'm looking at. Okay, let's go into the Nasdaq, which is obviously weaker. Let's go and pull that up for you guys. Let's see what the Nasdaq's doing here. Okay. All right, Nasdaq is very weak. Okay, it is now down 1.23%. Okay, you can see the single prints too, just like the ES. Okay, now here's one thing. Okay, here's very important. The most traded price of the month was 11,100. Now I always say these are walls, right? Even, but I said fundamental catalysts can cut through any technical area. Well, this came down to it, and once it got to it, it ripped. That's a very important level. So for me, with some of the short trades I have on, I don't want to see the market above this level for me to hold on to my shorts. Okay. Now we're a very important level we're underneath. That's bearish. Okay. Now you can see too the Nasdaq came right up to the most traded price of the week in the RTH session, and that was as far as it went. All right. So there's naked VPOCs here, or version VPOCs, whatever you want to, whatever you want to call them, right here. So this could be one destination right here. Okay. That just means it's the most traded price that was never touched. That's 107.85. That could be our next destination. Okay. And that's just for a small granular level to talk about. Okay, so it's another large gap down. Okay, this is poof. This is crazy. TNX is already up to 4.2. So this is very bearish. All right. Now let's go into the futures charts, the 60-minute, the 1 hour. You know what? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go into this longer term chart just to give everybody a sense of where we could go. Okay. So price right now is at 37.30. It's right here. These are 4-hour candles. So we just broke this little balance area we were in, and we're going lower. Okay. Where are we going to go? Most likely down to the most traded price of last month, which was 36.88, 36.88, 36.90. You can see the hot pink line, and right here, this node. That is a very likely destination today. 36.90, let's call it 36.90. That's a very key level that I think we can hit today. If we continue this gap and go, if we do a gap and go, that's a very key level, okay? Followed by this level here. What's that level? We're talking 3600. Let's call it 3608, 3630, around 3600, okay? 3608, 3609 to be exact. That is the next destination. Okay, it's the most traded price of that week. There's the node right here. Write those down. We continue being weak. Okay, so 36.88, 36.90 for today, most likely. All right, let's look at the Nasdaq. Now, the Nasdaq's a different story. We're very weak already. Okay. And I know I told everybody yesterday, if we go lower, there was a couple levels. I said this 11,000 level here was the most traded price of last month. Well, we ripped through that. And where did we stop? We stopped at the most traded price of this week, right? 108.77. That's where the market stopped yesterday. You can see it right here. This is where we stopped. Well, if we break this, okay, there's nothing holding us back to go into these lows. There's nothing holding us back to go into 104.85. I'm not saying that happens today, but there's not much holding it. Okay, besides this swing low that's right here. And I'll just give you the low of the candle here. Let's see. The low of that candle is 107.13. So 107.13 might hold us up. Other than that, poof, it's pretty weak. Okay. So we got a swing low of 107.13, or we're going to the lows. I'm not saying today, but 107.13 could look like the level we might stop at today. It is a low volume node here, and I don't talk about that a lot. But when you see not a lot of volume, and it's like a chasm, it's like a crevice in the volume profile, that can act as support. If it's above, it can act as resistance, but it also can just act as a vacuum and cut right through it. Okay, so that's the lay of the land for that. Okay, now let's move over to the hourly charts real quick. Okay, let's get this ES up here. All right, very simple. Okay, we're falling, we're gapping down. All right, we broke this demand zone. 37.40 was a support level I was looking at, but now we broke that. Okay, I would say right now that if we open, look for 37.40 to become resistance, or 37.75. Okay, we got our most traded price of the month here that I said that could be the destination today. Very likely with a support of 36.79. Okay, this was a big support level in the past. I could think if we get cooking to the downside, because see, there's not a lot of support here. Okay, we got a little bit of a node here, but really, I think we can move down to here, at least to here, but most likely here. Okay, and I already gave you those levels, but I'll say it again. This is like 36.90. This node is 3700. Let's call it 3700. Okay, that's as simple as it gets for there. Okay, let's go to the Nasdaq. Now the Nasdaq. Okay. Whew. Nasdaq's very weak. All right, so this is the most traded price of the month. We ripped through it. Okay, we ripped through support here. All right, this 109.87 is a key, was a key support. Now it's a resistance level we're going to look at. Same with 109.37. Okay, now we broke through 108.78. Look for this to possibly be resistance. Any of these can play, and there's a supply zone here. Any of these can play resistance if there's a bounce. Okay. And here's that swing low I talked about. that could be another support. Okay, but there's a support level at 107.71 with a naked VPOC here. So we could stall here, bounce here. Not sure. Okay, but that swing low is right here. But this market's pretty weak. I don't know if we're gonna just rip higher off the open. I'm not sure. Okay, this is very bearish. These big gaps are very hard to read. All right, let's just go over to this, the market profile, zoomed in chart, so I can just give an E. It's not going to be that complicated today. It's just really not. Just give me one sec, guys. Okay, let's make this pretty easy. Okay, where it's a large gap down, hard to read, very hard to read. So here's the keys for today. We're gapping down. Okay, we're not even 100% net long. We're almost balanced. So okay, let's look at this. We have our spike. We're below it. That's bearish. Okay, here's a couple line in the sands for today. We have the low, 37.60. If we get responsive buying off the open, that is probably going to be a place where people are going to, if there's longs and these shorts get a little squeezed, they take profits. That's probably the first place that people will try to short if we fill the gap. Okay, and this is the big question right now. Here's yesterday's low. The quick question is this: do we fill the gap? Now, maybe we don't fill the gap. We can't fill it, right? That's bearish. If we do fill it and we can't go higher, that's bearish, right? And now if we start moving into range, you know, I still think this market's so bearish right now that it's not going to matter, but we could move into range and balance off. But let's just see here. Okay, so that's it. That's the question: do we fill the gap? If we do fill the gap, do we move higher or do we get shorted? My guess would probably, people would look to get short. Okay, then we have single prints too. Jesus, this market's falling. Um, we have single prints here too. Okay, and a large volume node here. Okay, so I'm just giving you guys a bunch of the levels that I have up here just to give you perspective. So we talk about a gap, we talked about single prints, right? So this area right here is the spike, and that's really the all important thing I'm really kind of getting at. If we can't get above this, this is probably shorts all day from here. Okay, so let's go into scenarios. Enough with the levels. Okay, I just wanted to give you what I'm seeing. So I can see in one scenario, because we're pretty we're just keep selling this low. So I don't know how far this can go, but definitely people can take profits. So I can see us moving up. Okay, off the open, filling that gap, trying to get above, and then we go back down. Okay, we go back down. We probably test these overnight lows again, and then we can fall farther to the most share price. of the month, like I said before, which is 36.90. That's very that's a good chance of that happening. Okay. Another thing that I can see happening, and I wouldn't even call this bull, but I would say a little more of short squeezing could happen. Man, this market is just ripping. What I also can see happening is, depending where we're at, see, we're underneath this 20-day moving average as well. Okay. So this is the other this is the next bearish move, because we keep going lower, right? We could also come up, squeeze a little bit of this shorts, come up to this, now was support, now resistance 37.40, which is also the 20-day simple moving average, pop above it, can't, and then we go down as well. Because this market keeps falling. Okay. I honestly don't see a bullish scenario today. I really don't. The only thing I could possibly see is if we wind up making our way above this, bouncing off the 20. Everybody thinks we're looking great. We'll probably halt at the lows of yesterday. Maybe get up to the overnight lows and tap this over high volume node, and then we find selling. That's the most bullish thing I can see, but it's not, right? Because I'm pointing to the back to the lows. This isn't going to change in the Nasdaq. Same stuff, I'm going to say. Price is down here, 108. Okay. Like I said, I still see us. We could just push up here to this level here, 108.78. Maybe even go up to yesterday's lows, fill the gap, and we're going lower, hitting this naked VPOC, and going to that swing low, at least. Okay. And then also, like the same thing I drew here. Okay. You can see it's coming up here, holding that, coming up, getting a little resistance at the lows. People think, oh my God, we're gonna go higher and go right up to the overnight highs, get into the supply zone, and come right back down. And then any chance for some bulls, which I don't like, again, I'm not gonna call it a bull move, is again coming up here, pushing, pushing. And if I can't see this in the cards, but I mean, we can get some short covering, but this is that huge level, the most traded price of the month. We can't get above that. That's another short. So obviously, I think we're at least holding these lows down here in both markets. This is very bearish, okay? We keep pushing lower. This is pretty nuts. All right. So that's about it. I'm gonna go look at crude now. But I wish everybody good luck. Give me a like. Leave me a comment. Subscribe if you haven't. Hopefully everybody gets a nice green trade today. Stays green. Okay. And I'm gonna really be watching this market. Now remember, there's news, guys. There's news to be aware of. 9:45 and 10 a.m. All right. I don't know what could move the market higher, but you never know. All right. So good luck today. I'll see everybody tomorrow.